Well, good morning, everyone. At least this morning here right now. I just dropped off the number one farmhand. I'll see if I can make a video today with some sound. I don't know what happened to that last one. Just, I don't know, there wasn't any sound. I should have watched it before I posted it. I usually watch a little bit of them, but that was like, I know what I said. Oh well. Live and learn, huh? You know, here's what's on my mind this morning. First of all, hopefully we'll be having some pigs in the next week or so, babies, so you can see some baby pig video. Probably like that better than me talking. But anyway, watched an interesting video this morning while I couldn't sleep. But anyway, there's this big religious leaders summit that's going on, near as I can tell, somewhere around Mount Sinai. And you'll have to look that up, because right off the top of my head, I don't know where that's at. I'm assuming it's probably in Israel, but I don't know. Maybe I'll think to look it up before I finish this video. But it's to combat climate change. They've issued these new 10 commandments of climate change. Things you should do. The Pope. Now this summit, the way I understand it, is many different religions. Buddhists, Muslims, Jews, Catholics, and I'm going to try to get this looked up so I can read it myself later. Just, I don't know, I wasn't thinking too clearly at 4 o'clock this morning when I watched it. But anyway, this is all the climate change agenda. I get more and more skeptical over climate change all the time. Just this year, as an example, this summer was typical of what I grew up with, back in the 70s. Extremely hot, dry. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We cannot kill the planet without just blowing it up. We may make it bad enough that it kills us, and then it will start to recover. But there's so much that is wrong with the whole climate change movement, I guess. I mean, in the 70s, they were telling us we was going to have another ice age. Then it was going to get so hot that we can't stand to live on the planet. Now it's just climate change. And nobody talks about the fact that the poles, the North and South poles, are moving, and they have moved before. I'll look it up. Maybe that's got some effect on the weather. You think? But anyway, this 10 commandments for climate change, or whatever they call it, sounds to me like a whole lot of World Economic Forum agenda. I mean, just, and I watched that on Big Family Homestead this morning. Go check them out. They're family oriented, you know. But anyway, this always worries me. Well, let me make this up. If you studied history, and I'm not what you would call a historical scholar or anything, but whenever government and religion gets in bed together, it's never good, and that's something they said. You know, you remember back in the reading about the medieval days and religion and the government, the kings, queens, and stuff were in bed together. They were helping each other out. They weren't helping the people. And they said something on this video that caught my attention. There's a school bus behind me. But anyway, with that comparison, they mentioned it, and it's almost like they want to. I've got to go back and rewatch the video because there was a book mentioned, and I might want to get it and read it. But they said it's a lot like they want to put us back into the days of serfdom, which, you know, that's medieval times. And I'm looking at I'm thinking now, you know, what were things like back then? You know, the religious leaders and the kings and queens, you know, when they weren't fighting against each other, they were doing things to keep the people down. And, you know, then there's been some reformations and blah, blah, blah. But the wealthy controlled everything. You know, a lot of times the wealthy controlled the leadership. And I'm seeing some of those things. Our old buddy Bill Gates, you know, he's got his hands in everything. He's involved with this World Economic Forum. He's, you know, the largest single landowner in the United States. He's involved with manipulating the medical fields, wastewater. And yeah, he's got the money to do all that. But it just, I don't know. That the way they phrased that on that video this morning kind of struck a chord with me on this. And so I just wanted to put it out here. My thoughts aren't too clear on it. My presentation here isn't very clear. But just imagine back in the days, medieval days, you know, when the king ruled, and there was the time of the lords and the ladies. You know, if you didn't have money, you barely scraped by. And I mean, you know, you were stupid rich. And that's what it's looking like we're headed now. You know, the World Economic Forum does not want people owning their own land. You know, they don't want you to own your own car. Just all those things. Well, I'm going to go in the house here real quick. Got to talk to Rhonda a minute, and then we got to jump in the truck. Got the trailer hooked up to it. And we're going to take a pig to processor this morning. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay. So out of the warm car into this cold truck. Turn the defrosters on here. Yeah. I mean, this makes one wonder. The way things are going, you know, it really, in my mind, points to this kind of thing. I heard a quote from H.G. Wells that there would come a time when there would only be two types of people in the world: the ultra rich and wealthy that have everything, and those who eat bugs. And you know, you get all this information, and you kind of add it all together, and you look at it, and you don't want, or at least I don't want to believe this stuff. But man, there's so much stuff that is being manipulated right now, just normal stuff. And you know, or fuel cost, and it just, the food, you know, the supposed food shortages, the fuel shortages, like I already mentioned, diesel fuel, heating oil, jet fuel, gasoline, all of it. The so-called trucker shortage, which I've talked about, they make it harder and harder to become a truck driver. You know, when I first started, when I became a truck driver back there in the late 80s, you could just, you know, if you could pass the written test, you were good to go. You know, the basic skills test. And if you already had a driver's license, they didn't worry about the skills test because you'd already passed that. Sorry about the shaking here. It's cold in this truck. Plus, you know, roads are kind of rough. And pulling that trailer besides. See it back there, maybe. But, you know, all of these things are being manipulated. I have no doubt. You know, like I said, don't take my word for it. Well, that made it worse. But, like I say, don't take my word for it. Go do your own investigating. You know, look it all up. You know, I know a lot of people think socialism is a good idea, but here's my thought on that. Wow, on paper, socialism looks really good. So does communism. I mean, everybody's the same. Nobody's got more than anybody else. You know, sounds good, right? There's no more poor, no more rich. But it doesn't work that way. And I've addressed that and talked about it. People won't let that be that way. Because as human beings, we don't want exactly what the other guys got. We want better. We want more. You know, and that's what will happen. The people who are rich now, I guarantee you, you could take the rich people in the country or anywhere right now. You could take all their money away from them, and they would become rich again. Because one, they know how to do it, and two, they want to. They have the drive. And, you know, I would argue that even though, you know, they keep the money and don't give it all away, but it's not just about the money with them. It's about, can I do it? And doing it, you know. So, that's why socialism and communism doesn't work. Plus the fact that government officials become corrupt. Corruption just becomes rampant. You know, because like I said, as a species, we're greedy. And capitalism harnesses that greed. I mean, if you want it bad enough, you can get out there and earn it. Now, there are criminals that are out there taking it, you know, doing things illegal to get it, but that's going to happen. But I would argue there are fewer criminals under capitalism. And I'm not talking about like the crony capitalism that we have now in this country, where, you know, if you buddy up with the right people, excuse me, if you buddy up with the right people in government, then you can get things done. I mean, just go take a look at this most recent scandal that's out there with this FTX. It was a giant Ponzi scheme. Looks like the government of Ukraine was investing in it. You know, there's rumors. I got flagged on Facebook for posting it, but we donated money to Ukraine. Ukraine invested money in FTX. FTX donated money to the Democratic National Convention. And from what I got flagged, said this is false information, blah, blah, blah. But I've seen it on other reputable sources that say, look, this is, you know, this guy was a donor to the DNC. But and the guy wound up dead. And right off the top of my head, I can't say it. I can't think how, but I think it was, well, I don't know. But the guy's dead. So, but anyway, and that's the kind of stuff you get with socialism, you know. It's just corruption, you know, and then it trickles down. I mean, then the average person then resorts, you know, when you get hungry, you do desperate things. That's the bottom line. But back to my original thoughts here on this whole feudal system that, you know, looks like is being set up again. It just, to me, like I said, you're seeing these things happen. You have a few ultra rich that are trying to control and manipulate governments. And people, you know. Oh, this wasn't where I wanted to turn. That's all right. Gets me off the highway. You know, people fought for thousands of years to get away from the feudal system, where, you know, the many were controlled by the few. Thousands and thousands of years we tried to get away from that. And then we do. The United States of America comes along, and it's a great thing. Not perfect. There was some flaws. There's definitely some dark spots in our history. You know, no worse than any other country, to be honest. I mean, and we've done bad things. I mean, even in what you might consider modern history, the internment of Japanese American citizens during World War II. You know, and slavery. There's no excuse for slavery. It's still going on. Just, you know, it is going on in this country too. It's just kept a secret and is not widespread, but it's happening. It's a different kind of slavery. But anyway, you know, here comes the United States, and in less than 200 years, we've become a world economic power as well as a military power. And, you know, you come to the United States and, you know, you can become whatever you want. You know, you want to be rich, okay, get out there and work, offer a product, offer a service, you know, work at it, you'll get there. Was there bad stuff going on? Yes, there was. You know, there was some not so nice people out there doing some not so nice things. So you're going to have that. You need to catch them and get it stopped. I mean, a perfect system does not exist. But I'm hoping that everybody that is watching this video is already aware that there's something wrong. Now, here's the question about all of it. How do we stop it? How do we get out of it? I mean, elections aren't working terribly well. Our politicians, you know, aren't working terribly well, or maybe they are working terribly. And I don't care whether they got a D or an R, or, you know, we got a few once in a while that on this or that will be extraordinary, but, you know, overall, they seem like they don't care about the average person, and I think that happens a lot. You know, even the ones that came from more humble beginnings, they forget when they get up there. I mean, this isn't a great example, but, you know, the media darling AOC. she was a bartender when she got elected. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a bartender. I mean, it's an honest living. I got no problem with that. And she supposedly had a degree in economics. She gets herself elected to the House of Representatives. And she's making all kinds of waves, you know. But everything she does hurts the people she claims to be working for. I mean, Amazon was going to put a facility, and I'm not a fan of Amazon, but I do appreciate the jobs they provide, although there's layoffs coming there. Anyway, it's a different time, different story. You know, I forget how many jobs that would have provided to her district, and she shot them down. And, you know, all of this is that way. And she's, you know, and now, you know, it seems she's forgot where she came from, because she's now making, you know, what is it? $150,000 a year is the base pay for the United States House of Representatives. And then, you know, you get paid more for being on this committee, and if you can be the head of that committee, you get paid even more, you know. And then I think it's based on your years served. Well, this is why we can't get rid of these people. You know, they don't have to do anything. Put on a show. Oh, yeah, they get up and argued about, you know, yeah, I work for the little people, and this will help the little people, and the working man, and then they don't do anything. But again, and all of this is related. It's all related to where we're headed. And people like the idea. I mean, just, they like the idea of not having to do anything, and sometimes it's sold to you as, well, you know, just think how much more art or music could be produced if, you know, the finer things in life, if people didn't have to work for a living. Well, I would argue that they don't have to work for a living, then they aren't going to produce. I mean, they don't have to produce. You know, they just sit around in their bedroom playing their guitar all day, you know. But they're not producing anything that benefits society. Or themselves, even, you know. But anyway, just my thoughts this morning. I don't know how long this video is at this point, because it's mostly been driving and I can't look at the camera or the phone too much to see. But just think about that, about the where we're headed as a world, not just the United States. I mean, we're going to probably, if this all happens, it's going to hurt us the most, just in our day-to-day lives, because we live such a different lifestyle than most of the rest of the world. I mean, right now, the poorest among us has an expensive smartphone. Not all of them, but there are many that do. Many that are living off the government that's got a newer phone than I do. But anyway, I don't know. Leave me a comment if you think we're on to something here. You like it, don't like it. You know, this whole... Okay, here's the question. Do you have the same feeling that I do, that we're headed towards serfdom again. A place where if you're not part of the ruling class, then you just get the scraps. I would really like to hear your comments on this. So leave me a comment. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? What do you think about the whole concept? So I'm going to end this video for now. I may pick it up again in a little bit. So right now I'm trying to find my turn to get to my processor so I can drop this porker off. So